But I believe that socialism, the ism that we both agreed upon, the collective means, seizing of distribution, production, is immoral.
I mean, the argument is absurd, because if you say that it's immoral, then you also have to say that government funding of police is immoral, government funding of the military is immoral. Anything the government does is immoral, and that's ridiculous, because you have to have some state that's going to socialize certain things. And so the question is not, do we have socialization, it's how much.
Sure. I would disagree with that. Now, would you know where I disagree with that? Guess what I'm going to say.
I assume you're going to try to argue that government funding of the military and police is not socialism.
Why would I say that?
Well, because if you don't argue that, then you're going to have to give some ground on socialism.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. If I have to concede that police force, as he's saying, police force, military, roads is socialism, the same as healthcare, education, and I'm assuming that's why you're referring to Denmark and Sweden. They're not socialist economies, but they have more of a social safety net. That's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, they're social democracies.
They're market economies with higher emphasis on a social safety net. That's how they describe it.
That's what a social democracy is.
So okay, we agree on the term. Let's go with social democracy. I just want to make sure we don't get confused like democratic socialism as though that changes anything. But we just talked about this, conceding that ground. Yeah. I don't believe that the military and the police force would be the same as socialized healthcare school.
Why not?
Sorry, because we only have one microphone. We had to do a late setup. I appreciate you working with me.
Well, I mean...
Why not? Why not was your question.
Our definition was that...
So why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to make sure you don't... why not? Because there's a difference between a public good and a commodity. Can you explain to me the difference between public goods and a commodity?
Well, in economics, a public good is a good that is, I believe, non-excludable and non-rivalrous. So...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would include things like the police, the military. You'd be hard-pressed to even find hardcore libertarians to say that we don't need those. Okay. So there's a big difference. There's a fundamental difference between that and something like healthcare or school.
It's still
or it goes to free internet, as Sven Computer talked about in Germany now. High-speed internet is a right. The second you declare any commodity to be a right or to be a fundamental role of government, that means the government can now remove that right depending on who's in power, and that's the problem. That's why I think it's fundamentally immoral for someone to take something they haven't earned, regardless of who's in power. I think it's immoral for Donald Trump's administration to take it from you, just as you probably think it's immoral for Barack Obama's administration to take it from me. So the difference there would be, first, public goods versus commodity. And I think that's an important distinction for everyone here to make, because it's a common argument we hear from the left. If you support any role of government at all, that means that this is socialism. But it's not according to the definition that we agreed upon. Something else, I think it also matters the constitutional parameters of government, right? What the Constitution defines what our government is and what fundamental human rights are.
Well, I want to get back to your earlier point where you said that because the military is a public good, that therefore it's not socialism. In your definition, you never made any distinction between different types of goods. You just said a socialist economy is one that takes wealth from some people and gives it to others, and that's what financing a public good is.
Well, no, it's not. You talked about redistributing, the redistribution, the common means of production or distribution. So if we want to frame that in, I certainly wouldn't say that that's the police. Oh, someone's yelling. Hopefully we're good. So I would not agree with it that the military or police would be socialist. But to move on here, again, let's go to the Danes, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. You pointed to them as successful examples of socialism, because that would be different from your definition of socialism. So now I moved on from the idea that taking something you haven't earned to give to someone else is morally reprehensible, regardless of the reason, because socialism can only be enacted through the threat of violence. That's really what taxes are. At the end of the day, we all agree on that.
Violence is part of life.
Okay, well, I don't believe there should be a part of life for someone with guns to come in if I don't pay for Timmy's health care. I just disagree with that.
If you don't pay taxes, you're going to have other forms of violence that arise spontaneously. This sort of autistic libertarian idea of, oh, you can have a non-aggression...
Stop it. He's been watching Matt Damon videos. Continue.
This idea of a non-aggression principle is just fantasy, okay? You have to have
Describe to me, you just said autistic, and this was very civil until you brought that up. Define autistic here.
Well, it tends to be characterized by an overemphasis on logic and philosophy as opposed to reality. It's very easy to argue from syllogisms and axioms and all that.
So hold on a second, I want to make sure, before you move, because what you do is you speak in these paragraphs. We need to determine what these definitions are. I think we both agree that's fair.
Fine.
Okay, so you just said that autism, if I'm not mistaken, and I would love for you to bring this up, is rooted more in philosophy and theology than facts? Than logic or reason?
Logic, syllogisms, that sort of thing.
That's what you believe is the definition of autism?
Well, because it leads you down these intellectual...
No, do you believe that's the definition of autism?
No,
No, you
I'm
don't.
using it in an informal way.
Okay, so you're using it in an insulting way.
You could say that.
Okay.
A little bit of banter.
A little bit of, yeah. Well, we don't call that friendly banter generally. We
Okay.
call that being a dick. So I want to go back to hopefully keeping it civil. You know, I wouldn't call you retarded. You know, I wouldn't say that you had a
Fair
fight
enough.
with the Clippers and the Clippers won. I wouldn't do this. Let's keep this very civil. So let's go back to Sweden, Denmark, Norway as examples. You pointed to them as successful examples of socialism. It was interesting to me that you said, I know you'd want to point to the USSR or Venezuela or these places, but really we should look to these Scandinavian countries.
Sure.
Why?
Because they provide a good quality of life for their citizens. You don't have this gigantic gap between the working class and the upper class. There is a commitment of the state to the well-being of their citizens, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
Okay. So first off, I agree with you that first off, the overall well-being of citizens is a tremendous thing. I think we would all want. I think everyone here wants a better society, wants a better America. I don't think that you want a worse America. No. I hope that you don't believe I want a worse America, despite the fact that you implied I might be autistic. So maybe I don't know what's best for America. You know, autistic and such. Keep your hate speech off this campus. But your reasoning there, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said there isn't the same kind of gap, the inequality gap. That was I want to get, because you speak in, like I said, in longer paragraphs. Sure. It seems the fundamental premise there was Denmark, Norway, Sweden, they're examples because they're successful. They have a higher quality of living, and the main purpose, the main justification used was there's less of an inequality gap. Am I correct? I don't want to misrepresent you.
Yes.
Okay. So your problem is with inequality.
It's one of several problems. I think another problem when
But that was your first issue. Let's go point by point. Okay.
Fair enough.
Inequality. What's immoral about inequality?
Because there's this idea that you're going to have this society, and everybody has social obligations. But if you have a situation where people are being crushed, where people's wages are going down, you lose the social cohesiveness of that society. You lose the commitment that everybody has to advancing that society.
Hold on a second. I want to, because now you're getting into potential results, the hypothetical, almost autistic, one could say.
It's real.
But I ask again, what is immoral about inequality?
What's immoral is that it ruins the society. That's what's immoral about it.
How does inequality ruin society? Because it sounds to me, if I'm not mistaken, what you just went down and described was a problem with poverty.
Yeah.
So your problem is with poverty then?
But poverty is a consequence of inequality.
That's not necessarily true. But, and as a matter of fact, I would argue that there are two very different things. Because I would say, and I think we'd probably have to agree, that the free enterprise, westernized capitalist system has pulled more people out of poverty than any system in existence. And if you look at countries, you said don't point to countries like Venezuela or true socialist economies, there's tremendous equality, but everyone is equally poor. So the problem you have is with poverty, it sounds like, and I think we would both have a problem with that we want to solve ways to eliminate as much poverty as possible.
It's not just poverty. Inequality matters too, because if you have inequality of wealth, you're going to have an upper class that controls the political system and secures its own interests instead of the interests of the people.
Okay.
So yes, inequality matters as well.
You would agree in stricter immigration laws?
I would. And you're not going to get it if you shill for the capitalists.
Well,
they're against you.
Define shill.
Well, if you're
I know you like to sound really intelligent by speaking in paragraphs. One thing, you've misused words several times. And if someone were to call you on it and be as rude as you are, you might look what you might refer to as stupid.
Okay.
So saying autistic or shill, define, because it's a very specific definition. You came in and just said shill. And I'm really quickly get ready to give the microphone to someone else if you don't stop doing this, because this isn't the goal of this. What's a shill?
Well, I think you're getting upset because you're losing the debate. But
That's fair. What's a shill? No. The person losing the debate is the one who refers to the other person as autistic and a shill. That's generally a good sign. So what's a shill?
I don't have the exact definition, but essentially someone who's, pushing or advancing somebody else's interests, I suppose.
For profit.
Fair enough. But a lot of these conservatives who...
Well, you're not talking to these conservatives, you're talking to me. This isn't a performance, Paul, here. That's why we're doing this out here. This is a conversation. You're talking to me. I just said that I'm against illegal immigration. It's okay. You can look me in the eyes. I'm not mad at you. I just think it's rude. It's okay. Don't worry. I mean, we're okay. I'm used to people being rude to me. I'm sure you're probably aware of this to one degree or another. Let's move back to, again, Norway, Sweden. We didn't really kind of go to that. You've talked about them as successful examples. Now, we refer to them, and I would agree. I would agree that if we're going to take a model and say they've created a social safety net that functions better than many other countries, for example, socialized healthcare and education.
What's wrong with that?
Good. Well, so you would support school vouchers.
I think in general, vouchers I think have a problem because they do lead to the incentivization of private schools. But
Okay.
any way that the government
Well, I just say because that's what Sweden does.
Yes.
So you would support more of a flat tax and increasing taxes on the middle class and the lower class.
I want a progressive tax.
Okay, well that's not what happens in Denmark.
They should change it.
Okay, so you would want a lower corporate tax rate.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so here's the one thing. We point to, and I appreciate you taking, what was your name again?
Yusuf.
Yusuf, I appreciate Yusuf taking the time. Ethan, thanks, man, for making the time.
You're very welcome, and I just want to say, I know you called me, you said that I would be a layup, which
I
is
think I
fine,
used
which is
something like
fine,
that.
and I think you're right, because I don't think I'm a very good debater. I think you know that. So I didn't want to make it too easy for you.
Oh, okay.
So I've prepared.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
Dan,
what we were going
whenever
to
you're
talk
ready.
about is the initial quote that happened. I think he's looking off there. The initial quote that kind of was turned into a little bit of a meme, which wasn't intentional, and was you saying you don't even have to think about it regarding the CDC. And I disagree with that. I think people should think about it. I believe, and we talked about this through playful ribbing, in an aggregation of medical authorities and scientific voices to make an informed and rational decision. So where do you think that I'm wrong on that?
Stephen, do you know that the Spartans are like practice man love with children?
Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid. Oh, there he is. Oh no, Sam Seder. What a fucking nightmare.
Stephen.
I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are.
well-
Yeah, I told Dave, remember I told you? I said I guarantee you he's going to do anything he can to avoid the debate.
Well, I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, mental health issues.
Stephen,
Ethan
you know
Klein
what's
doesn't stand up and do his own
Funny, I gotta
fighting.
say,
Bring it
I
on.
It's
told
hilarious.
my
Let's bring on the
producers
FM.
that you would do anything to avoid talking to me. I think the point that you made
Yes,
at the
that's
beginning
include
of
Joe
this
Rogan.
Yeah,
was-
Joe Rogan and
Dave Rubin
and Dave
Ben
Rubin and
Shapiro.
Jordan Peterson and Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris. Everyone's been avoiding.
And not just
Sam
attempting to get
Seder.
your audience by jumping in.
Well, I debated with Charlie Kirk. Stephen, I mean, it's
Okay.
about issues. Let's
about
talk about
issues,
those
yeah.
issues.
That's
I
what
think
you're
you have
doing
some
here.
valid
Yeah.
points.
You're
that
so
I think we
clever.
should
I had no
discuss.
idea that you were taking your show off early last time, coming in today with your pig pen peanuts
I
eyes.
wish every
Well, you must have been
Black
very worried
eyes,
about
aren't
this,
they? Like
Stephen. I don't know why.
no
it would
one's
be
worried
Oh, come
about
on,
it.
so
Sam.
I didn't want to
Well,
do
let's have the
Sam,
debate.
come
If no
on. Just
one's
I'll tell you
worried,
what. I
let's
have a
do
general. I have a general.
This is a
rule.
great
I
opportunity.
don't start a debate
to-
based with people on a lie. And how
Or
about you get to a,
sabotaging.
how about you get
Stephen,
to a
show
30th
yourself,
of the
you
audience
coward.
share?
Stephen, show yourself.
30th
Don't show
of the
your
audience.
co-host.
Ethan, you should show
Stephen,
yourself.
excuse-
Ethan, how can you respect yourself as a man, brother?
Stephen,
so
Stephen,
strongly
you
that
are
you're
such
not
a
willing to
coward. Stop
debate.
showing your little
I
leprechaun
thought you
co-host who
would
comes
welcome-
out dressed like your
Ethan, come
sidekick.
on. Ethan, come on, man. Look, the same reason that I haven't ever had a conversation with Sam Seder is the same reason that Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Brett Weinstein, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro don't own anything. It's based on a lie, Ethan. Just
What's
like
the
you
lie?
claiming my Ethan.
What's the lie?
You claiming my
What's the
booker
lie,
reached
Stephen?
out to you, Ethan, when you know
Stephen,
that's
what's the
not
lie?
true. There's no
What's
one
the
ducking
lie?
you,
Why
Sam.
are you
I've
so
never
afraid?
Sam,
Yo,
Sam,
listen,
Sam,
I
Sam,
think
Sam,
you're a
Sam.
smart
I
guy.
can call out Mike
I don't
Tyson.
understand why
It doesn't mean that I'm
you are
ducking him.
so worried about this.
Why do you
I
feel that?
honestly
Why do you
don't.
feel that anyone, Sam? Why do you feel that anyone owes you airtime when you have a 40th of the audience and you've been doing the
I
show
don't think anybody
for 10
owes me
times as longer?
airtime. I think that Ethan has just given it to me. I didn't
Right.
ask him for it, and
Right.
so
No, you've been begging
the
for
real
it for a long
question
time
is,
with everyone
Stephen,
bigger than
why
yourself.
Are you so
Yeah, he found
worried
you
about
can't build an
engaging with me?
audience, and so what
Why
happens is
are
he
you
uploads
so
15
worried about-
times more,
Do you think
has
your
less than a
audience
50th of the
says-
audience.
Well, that's
Do
why
you
he wants to
think that your
debate you, is so he
audience-
can build his.
Sam,
Do you
Sam,
think
come on.
your audience
Yeah,
cares
yeah.
that I only have 1 million subscribers and you have what, 6 or 7 million
I think.
subscribers?
Let me answer. Can I
don't
answer your
think
question?
they
Can I
do.
answer your question? Can I answer your question? Do you want me to answer your question? My audience would say Sam who? Just like Joe Rogan's audience and Ben
Well, now
Shapiro's
they
and
all
Dave
know
Rubin.
who I am.
Now they
You
all know
just
who you are
introduced me.
because you had to
Your
shoehorn
audience
yourself into
watches
another coward
yourself
show.
into
College
another
students,
show.
every day that you do that,
Why are
change
we-
my
Hold
mind.
on a second. Hold on
they
a second.
don't know who those college
This is another
students
lie.
are.
This is another lie.
What possible
Let
difference
me
would it be?
clarify, Sam. Let me clarify, Sam. The change my mind, everyone knows on the show, right?
Yes.
We've had
How did
professors
you know
on the.
I ended
This is
my
what-
show
okay, he's not
early
gonna talk.
last week, Stephen? If your audience doesn't
Because
even
you're
know
an
me,
idiot.
How
and
did you
half
know
of your
that?
staff
Do
doesn't
you watch
like
my
you.
show?
Because I'm a diehard fan.
Yes, it's because he's a diehard
Well,
fan.
if you're a
I've heard
diehard
of you,
fan,
but I just met you.
Why not
Congratulations,
have me
Sam Cedars fan.
and Stephen
I'm just
have
a
a
huge
conversation?
fan.
I will
like-
talk
right now,
about
every
the
time I
issues
try and
that
talk,
you
you're
want to talk
interrupting,
about,
Sam.
Stephen.
Yeah, and
Right now, I'm trying to talk with you. You're interrupting,
You
Sam.
bombarded the show.
Okay,
You
go ahead.
bombarded my show under a false pretense. You claimed
Bombarded?
just like you claimed that I ducked a debate with you under a false pretense. Have I ever?
That is what the Politicon people told me. I
Oh, is that
played
what they
the
told you?
audio
Well,
of
so
it.
you're just lazy
Yeah.
with your research?
And if
No,
big tech
what
is
more
You
research
continue
do
with the
I
lie.
need? They
You need
said
to
were
research to say,
booked.
did Stephen ever accept?
They said you were
Let me
booked.
explain to you. Let me explain
They
to you.
said
Let me
you were
explain.
booked,
Hey,
and that you
whoa,
dropped
Sam,
out and you literally had
Sam,
cold
sweetheart.
feet.
Sam, fake stand-up comic who we can't find any footage about online. Let
I'm
me
not
finish.
a stand-up comic.
Oh, you're not? Okay, that makes sense because everything that I've seen is incredibly unfunny and unentertaining,
Well,
which may
I'm
explain
not
the
a
audience.
stand-up
member.
Ironic,
comic.
irony alert, Stephen.
How
Comedian.
much have you watched of my stuff,
The
Stephen, that
irony
you
alert.
think that your
Sam,
audience
can I answer your
wouldn't
question?
appreciate
Sam,
our discussing things?
Samuel, can I answer your question?
Yes.
So you have gone on, you've done the same thing with other comments. Everyone has a bigger audience than you because you said, I want to speak with Steven Crowder. You believe that at some point there was some acceptance? When have I ever done a Politicon? Ever?
I
When
don't
have as a
know.
matter of fact,
I
in the
haven't
last
followed your
decade,
career like
in
you
the
seem to
last
have followed
decade,
mine,
in
Stephen.
the last decade, I haven't done a single political conference.
How
I
can
hosted
you say-
CPAC for 4 years and stopped because they suck.
How can
They
you
don't
say-
pay
Okay.
and they're full of losers.
What about
and you've been
Gavin McInnes's
clamoring
show?
for it, and it's a
Gavin told me
lie.
that you dropped out of doing
How
his
can you
show
say
because
that
This is
I
just
was going
hearsay
to
and
go.
gossip.
But how can
I
you
have
say
the
you
never
don't
met more of
follow
a
your
woman.
career when he wants
Well, I
to
don't
keep
even need to-
debating?
I don't need to talk
It's
about any
bizarre.
of this.
All right,
Let's talk
okay.
about the issue.
So,
the
Ethan, do you want to have a
CDC.
conversation, Ethan?
Let's talk
about the
about big
vaccine
tech.
because
Ethan, do you want to have a
Absolutely I
conversation?
do.
You're going to hide.
You felt
Absolutely
so
I do.
strongly about
Big tech.
So why are you hiding behind Sam Cedar?
Oh no, no, me and Sam are aligned. I'm not
with
hiding.
him.
He just
Well, you're just a
he knows the
liar.
issue.
So you're a
Ethan,
liar.
because remember
You
we said-
brought in
hold on a second,
somebody
hold on
else
a
to
second.
debate.
I mean, it
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
feels like
It's
you guys are the ones who are
ridiculous.
hiding.
Really?
Ethan is
Hiding?
being
No, this
completely
is
open
actually
about it.
Who snuck in on you?
Who's the guy who
Ethan's
never
being
appears
completely
on
open
stage,
about it.
never does a live show,
But it's a
never
comic.
even sheds, never even allows a shadow of comedy to be perceived on his program. It's just hiding.
Right.
Everything we do is out in the open. H3.
Steven,
you know
you're wearing a
that we
holster.
agreed.
So what?
Hold on a second. Yeah? So? I want to normalize responsible gun ownership. Is that your debate? No wonder you had to bring in a hack for you.
wanna
Well,
call
no,
it
you're
cock
talking
right
about
now.
comedy.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what you
Great
did,
strategy.
That's
Right
not
it
very
for you.
funny.
You have a holster, bro.
Also, your
you have a
sponsor is
holster
Spartans.
that takes advantage of mentally ill women for a
main
show with
sponsor
just
is about
dwindling.
gay
All
boy
All right,
love.
okay.
All of it.
All right, Sam, you got it. You got it. I hope you have
No,
a,
come
I
on.
hope
Hey,
you have a
Steven,
wonderful
if-
highlight reel.
Hold on, hold on,
Hope you
hold on,
enjoy
hold on, hold
Politicon.
on. Hold on. Let me
on,
just make
Steven.
one point.
Hope you enjoy Politicon.
Hold on,
Ethan.
let
We'll
me make
release the
one
private
point, Steven.
messages.
Take it easy.
Steven,
All right,
don't
thanks,
bail.
guys.
You
I
don't want
appreciate
Don't
it.
bail, you
Adorable.
coward.
Hey, Sam, one thing before I go. One thing before I
If
go.
it's
Can you
about
take off your
issues,
glasses?
Steven,
Hold
One
on.
thing before I go.
I
Can you
just
take
wanna
off your
see-
glasses?
we just wanna see if
I
there's
just want to
buttons.
see if you take them off. If you have the Velveteen Rabbit buttons. That's the only thing I'm curious
One-
about. It's the only interesting part about it.
Steven,
Or if
I-
there's a soul.
Let's
Just
debate.
take off the glasses.
Let's debate,
Steven,
Steven.
hide behind the
Don't
glasses.
be a
Sam.
coward.
Don't say
I
let's
will-
debate, Ethan. You've
I will
lost
take
Coward.
off the
confidence.
glasses.
All right,
Debate
this
the
is
issues.
sad.
What
This
does
is
it matter
what
who
I
you
should
debate,
shut up.
coward?
All right, good. You guys are good. Thank you.
Coward.
Won't even take off the glasses.
I was right.
All right, yeah,
We
you
knew
can
you
give
Bye-bye.
me the
run
X.
away.
This
You
is-
run away twice. Cold feet again.
Come on, Steven.
Wow. Wow. Dude, I can't believe he admit to following.
He admitted that he followed the show last week.
We got him.
Admitted that he watched the show last
We
week.
got
went
him.
early.
Dude, we played him so hard because he literally was following. He saw that you went live, dude. We fucking got him.
Oh my God, we fucking nailed him.
And
Well,
that's
we
what a lot
already
of people
proved you're
pointed.
full of shit about Colorado and traffic deaths. Should we go and fuck you up with this too?
Yeah. When you have your guy looking
You
up
feel
sources.
bad about the Colorado thing at all?
What? I never said Colorado. I said states that legalize marijuana.
What other
I've seen
ones
it.
are there?
Well, you didn't bring up the source that I wrote about.
All right, well, I can.
But the
eat
fact
up
that you're
if you
still
want.
hung up on
Hold,
it.
please. Hold, please. What?
I got the article. I've been looking at it for like the last few minutes on your website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple statements that are really bad just off the gate, like this right here. If you want to get high, you're a moron.
Well,
And
this is-
getting
this
high
is-
will
this is
make
a
you
joke.
more of a
That's
moron.
Not, that's not a
But
news
hold on.
article.
Right. Hold on, please.
That's commentary.
But, hold on. But fine. After all, things like Coachella wouldn't exist. Is this your article?
Yeah.
I think it's an article on my site.
Oh, wait a minute. If you want to get high, you're a moron?
Yeah, I think
You
Courtney
really
believes
think
that,
you're
yeah.
a moron?
I think
If you
Courtney
get
believes
high?
that, yeah.
Who's Courtney?
She's
she works
probably
for
one
you?
of the best writers I think I've ever
How
encountered.
dare you not read then?
But so then the article links to a couple, like this, for instance, is one that says it has deadliest year of traffic fatalities since 2008.
Yeah.
This article doesn't say anything about marijuana, not one thing. Doesn't mention weed at once. It does say that it could be attributed to
Could be
lower gas
weather.
prices, people driving more,
It
more
does.
people in the state,
Sure.
et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
well,
But
more
that's not,
people in
first
the
off,
state.
that's not the only thing. Hold on a
is a
second. No,
huge
this is
issue.
important. I'm going to defend myself here. Because you have someone here at the ready, and what you do is, instead of bringing up information, this is what happens with Christopher Titus, right? You don't have information that you bring up. You have another guy look up a source that you specifically want him to find.
I didn't ask him to bring that up.
Yes,
He just
you
brought
did.
it
And he
up.
brought up Washington Post and goes, this is what's wrong with your article, taking a
No, he
joke out
he
of
had already been
context.
talking. You didn't have a joke.
The joke in there about things like Coachella wouldn't exist if there weren't.
Okay,
That's clearly
her
a joke.
in that article.
That's a joke.
Right, but-
to try and go, do you think people who smoke pot are morons? No, it's a joke.
Okay.
Let's not do that. Let's
Okay.
not do that.
Well, and no, pot's not comparable to alcohol. There are tests that determine how much alcohol
Right.
content is in your bloodstream. We can't yet do that with weed, so it's impossible to handle these incidents in the same way.
That's
but
pretty
there
fair.
but there have been tests where they showed people
But that
drunk.
would go back to what he said and what
But
you
there
said.
have been tests where they've shown people drunk versus on marijuana, and the people on marijuana drove far better.
Okay.
That's true.
So this is also
Right?
anecdotal.
No,
but
these are
It goes back
tests.
to your point, right?
these are tests.
Let's say someone has alcohol
Are
in their
these
system.
tests?
Well, I haven't read your test.
Okay, so
But
why are you arguing against them?
No, I'm saying I agreed with your point earlier.
So why are you saying they're
No,
anecdotal?
well, it is anecdotal if you're saying some people drive better on marijuana
No,
than
I'm not
alcohol.
saying that. I've said there have been tests where they've shown that people drive better on marijuana
anyway.
than alcohol. That's
If you
not
want- if you want-
anecdotal.
my point is, if you
no,
want to
you're
smoke
looking.
weed, go ahead.
You're looking to be really good at this argument here.
No, I'm
You
not.
need to settle down.
You said you wouldn't pile on, and you got two people.
I'm not
A rule-
piling
yeah,
down.
Yeah,
He's not
it is.
talking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
He's
it
not
is.
talking. He
Actually,
brought
I have
something
a rule
up.
when someone
He brought
comes on
up
the show.
facts.
When someone comes on the show, Jared cannot interject.
Congratulations, you're not
Cannot
on the show.
interject.
And all he did was pull up some
No,
fucking
two
information.
people bringing up information, me without a laptop.
No, he brought it
After
up.
I
I
said,
talked
no, I'm not
about
gonna
it.
stop
He didn't even
After I
talk
said-
about it.
You said, what would be the one thing that you've changed your mind on that
Is
you
there
would
a
look
problem
back?
when two people are correct and you're incorrect? Does that bother you?
I don't agree that you're correct.
What are you talking about? You just pulled up some statistics that show that Colorado has less traffic fatalities
No, I didn't.
since
I didn't pull up
2000.
any statistics.
No, he did.
You had- well, you
saw
just said
them.
you. You just
okay,
said
well,
you.
I will
So,
give
no,
you
that's
my
not
laptop.
correct.
I'll turn my laptop
That's
your
not
way,
correct.
and you can pull up some shit that shows
You
contrary
said, what is
evidence.
the issue that you would care about the least that you've changed your mind? And I said, probably wouldn't even talk about pot.
That's a long version of what you said.
And
what
then you said, well, why?
was there have been more fatalities since marijuana has been legal in those
In
states.
all the things we've discussed.
It's not true.
Why are you so obsessed with the pot issue?
Because you're not right, and it doesn't matter if we've talked about it for 4
So
hours. In this instance,
yeah.
you are incorrect. You know
No,
you're incorrect.
I'm not incorrect in that instance that traffic fatalities have increased in areas where pot have increased. We did the same study in Michigan where pot was legalized and people were actually
Wait a minute,
selling
when-
more marijuana to underage kids. I don't care
Okay,
if they
that
do
doesn't
it.
have anything to do with traffic
It does
fatalities.
have to do with it.
It doesn't have anything to do with traffic fatalities unless you can prove there's more traffic fatalities in underage kids since marijuana has been legal.
Yeah, there have been several articles that have made that claim, made that assertion.
Let's find
We've
them.
written about it.
Let's find them.
They all come from one article mostly, and it's from these AAA stats. And this is the stats that they said. And it's almost all the articles you're talking about come from this one article.
Okay.
Okay, so it says the percentage of drivers involved in fatal crashes who recently used marijuana more than doubled from 8 to 17% from 2013 to 2014.
Yeah.
1 in 6 drivers involved in fatal crashes from 2014 had recently used marijuana, which is the most recent data available. Now, do you
The
understand that
significant increase in
causation
fatal
does not
crashes
equal
involving marijuana
correlation?
is alarming.
Yeah, it says who?
That's an opinion.
It's an opinion.
President and CEO of AAA Foundation.
Yeah,
for
he says
Traffic
it's
Safety.
alarming. Well, is that a matter of more people smoking marijuana because it's legal, or is it a matter of the marijuana causing these accidents?
Is this
Do you know
not an
what else-
article put out by
Do you know what
AAA?
else is true? Do you know what else is true? That all these people also had alcohol in their system. Do you know that?
Well, no, I don't. We don't know that all of them
It's
had alcohol in
a
their system.
giant percentage
Well,
of people
hold
that
on
were
a second. You
involved
just
in
made
these
an assumption.
accidents.
Said, do you know this
no,
to
I
be
know
true?
this because I've
all
read these
of them
studies.
had alcohol in their system.
I
Can
didn't
you
say
prove
that.
You
I
just
said
all.
a lot of them.
Rewind the tape. You
Maybe,
said
maybe
all.
I did say all. A lot of them.
Well, you made a lot of
Shitload.
assumptions.
Let's
here.
find out.
It doesn't say anything in the article about alcohol, though, and for sure they should have tested that and put that
They should,
information
and
in
for
there.
sure they can't test
Well,
for.
but
By the way,
just
I'm talking with
Google
two guys
how
who
many
just
people-
smoked up a joint.
Just Google.
and
what?
are mad.
What does that
And
have to do with anything?
It makes a point that you're going to have an obvious position that would disagree with this one single article. So if I can finish a point, you've talked about interruption. Let me finish the one point that I'm making.
Well, you've
you
already
can't
been
test
proven.
for marijuana.
You've already been
You can't
proven.
test for marijuana roadside, right? Can we agree on
No,
that?
you absolutely can.
You
yeah,
can?
there's new tests. Yes,
Okay, there's new tests.
that are
How
available
recent
right
are these
now.
tests?
Let's find
2014.
out. Let's find out. Before you do
But
that,
they
though,
didn't test, like you said.
How many of the marijuana-related fatalities also involved alcohol? Because it's a massively significant percentage.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily say that just because they have these new tests for marijuana, especially roadside marijuana.
That's the problem. Is you can't. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you that.
What are you giving me?
Let's say you're correct.
But here's the thing.
So let's say you're correct.
Physiologically, it doesn't have an effect on motor skills the way alcohol does, where it doesn't slow down your response time.
Well, I know
It's
that
not the same.
we've had several doctors on the show, 2 of whom had differing opinions on that.
They don't have to be right.
They don't have to be right.
Opinions of it. Do they
have
smoke
opinions.
marijuana themselves? Do they know what it's like?
Now
Have they studied?
Now we're getting to this whole.
Have they
if you haven't
studied
smoked
all the
marijuana.
different? CBS News caught blatantly distorting cannabis studies says
This
legal
comes
pot
from-
doubles fatal
This
car
comes
crashes.
from Mint Press News. So again, we can go into questioning sources all day long if you have someone else bringing up
You don't
sources.
think this is a good source? You think
Maybe
they're
it
lying?
is. Maybe it is. Let's
Not
say you're
Lauder with
right.
Crowder, but
Let's say you're right. Well, Lauder with Crowder, we sourced that to something else.
I know. And
You guys
I
are
look up
so
your
defensive
sources.
on one issue, and you said,
Hold
"What's
on.
the issue you don't care
I
about?"
have your
Pot.
sources right here. I've looked them up. There's people online also sourcing them. They are skewed. You're skewing them to make
And
your
so is the
case.
Washington Post study that you skewed.
But you're not the Washington Post. You're supposed to be the answer to the Washington Post.
I'm not the answer to the Washington
You're not,
Post.
Don't
We're
say that
op-ed.
someone's evil, so I'm evil too.
Well, you just said that.
Is that what you're saying?
That's the argument that you just made.
No, I didn't make
You
that
did
argument.
make that
You just said, come on,
You
man.
just made that argument, and all of a sudden, when someone mentions pot, you
When-
put on
when
the
you're
ideologue
saying
hat
this-
where
what-
your worldview
what
is
is
through the
that?
lens of weed.
No, dude.
And you get upset
I'm
with anyone
calling
having
you
a
out
different
on
opinion.
bullshit. It has nothing to do with weed.
Yeah, but you haven't
I
made
would
an
call
argument.
I haven't made an argument. You said
You've
that
said
the
your studies are
fatalities
sourced.
increased. We showed you what
We
happened in
wrote about it.
Colorado.
What have you shown me?
We showed you the statistics that
Okay.
show that marijuana and traffic violations they
May
correlates
not be,
to less
may not be causal.
accidents.
Right? Your
May
argument
not
is
be
it may not be caused.
Okay, so what else is causing
Okay.
the dropped number? And why can't
what's
you
causing
show
the increase in number?
What increase? This fake increase
From
that
fake,
you're
we're
bringing
doing
up?
fake news?
It's
Is that
not
what we're doing?
real. It's not real. Colorado shows it's not real.
That's
So
not
where is
tr-
it real?
Well, this comes from his AAA study that was AAA and Trusted Safety Council.
AAA is owned by the Bilderberg Group, bro.
Oh, God.
You don't even know this.
So now we're going to go to weed cures cancer and people having meetings with ram's heads.
You've got one article that says one thing and one
Joe.
article from Colorado that says there's been a decrease in traffic fatalities.
Right.
You're not willing to recognize that.
I just said, let's give that to you. Because this entire conversation started with you saying, what issue would you change your mind on?
No,
and I
it
said,
started,
probably pot. Because here's
no,
what I
this
think.
argument started with you saying that it causes more fatalities and traffic violations.
That's not true. That's not true. You said, which issue do you not care about?
Did
I
he
said
say that?
pot.
Did
And
he
then you
say
said
it causes
why?
more
You said
traffic
why?
fatalities?
What's your opinion on pot? And I said, I really don't care if people want to smoke pot. I think it's a state issue. I honestly don't care. I've changed my mind where as a kid I thought it was harmful. I don't think it's harmful
But
anymore.
didn't you say that it causes
and then you
more
said,
traffic fatalities?
Then you said,
No, that's
but
not.
I will ask this.
I'm trying to say, what are the
I'll ask
consequences
this.
of it?
You come on my show. I would love to and have a discussion about it in real time. I think
Why
so.
would
Well,
I
last
do it?
time I was on the show,
You're
you
in
said
front
you
of
do
me
the show.
right now. You're in front of me right now. Why do I have
Because
to
we're
come
not
on
having a
your
conversation, you and I, right now.
We would definitely
You're
have a
having somebody else
conversation
bring
for
up sources.
hours. Oh, that's not good to read
It's not
sources.
fair.
Tell me, are you vaccinated?
Yes.
Yourself? Okay. What made you get vaccinated?
To be able to do things, you know, and protect other people from the COVID vaccine, or the COVID,
COVID,
yeah, from
You're not
COVID.
running up swatting vaccines out of
Yeah,
your
no, to be able to protect, number one, my family, protect others, and be able to go out in the public and make sure that I wasn't causing more problems.
Wait, something is different here.
Are you Canadian?
Yes.
Bingo. I just heard it. Go out.
Yeah.
How long have you been here? Are you visiting?
No, I've been in the U.S. 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting to me because I don't know if you've probably heard that some people are vaccine hesitant, and it's higher in the Black American community.
Mm-hmm.
And we've interviewed some people today, and they said, well, I'm a little leery of the government. You're the first one who just said, yep, I took it, Canadian. Do you think there's a little bit more with Canadians willing to go along with what the government wants them to do, the mandates, or?
Well, I think it's more so around their health care. You know, in terms of in Canada, there has a strong trust in healthcare.
Right.
Because the government runs the healthcare.
Right.
And so in Canada right now, the vaccination rate is at 85%.
Yeah.
Because of that trust. And I think in the U.S., a lot of people don't have trust in the healthcare because a lot of people don't even have it.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a big factor in why people haven't taken
Do you
it.
think it's a good, because in Canada they've taken extreme measures. I mean, curfews, arresting people who even just walk their dog outside of their house, eliminating people from platforms. Do you think, because Canada's been pretty extreme, next step Australia, do you think that in that case there's a risk reward of 85% vaccination, but losing some individual rights there? I'm Canadian, by the way, I should say,
Yeah.
Montreal.
Oh, great. I'm from Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Never been there. So when people say you're Canadian, they go, do you know? I go, it's a huge country.
Right. No, I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, when you look at death rates in comparison to the U.S. and Canada, you see that, yes, you may lose some personal rights, but you have a greater chance of living because more people are vaccinated. There's less death. So yeah, I think it's the risk is worth that reward.
Okay. Let me ask you this: do you? Well, I don't want to ask your kids right now because I don't want to put them on camera. I'll just ask you. But do your kids go to public schools or to private schools?
Neither.
Oh, neither. Are homeschooled?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, you can't do that in Canada either. That's it. So, isn't that a good thing? You have that liberty here in the United States.
Well, you can do that in Canada.
It's very difficult.
Yeah. You just have to follow the regulations.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. The actual amount of approval, specifically in Quebec, was way worse. But that's good. Good for you. I just had twins. They're just like 12 weeks old, and we're considering that right now for sure. So I was going to ask you then. It doesn't really affect you so much, but what do you think about like the mask mandates in classrooms right now?
Well, I think it's definitely a great health protocol.
Okay.
In the sense that, kids were already being vaccinated to go to classes.
Right.
So, to me, until they have a vaccine for children, that is the best way to keep them healthy.
Okay. So you'd support the mandates for the masks in schools?
Definitely.
On that kind of same line of thinking, should we have mask mandates for children every flu season? Do you think? Because some people are saying that's something we should be looking at too.
I don't think so. Because the death rates are not as high, in terms of the science isn't telling us that yet, so I wouldn't think so.
So my question is kind of we have a sliding scale, right? And this is interviewing a lot of people. What if, let's say, the standard flu, like what if the CDC had numbers that said the standard seasonal flu, the mortality rate is 10 times higher in children than COVID? Would we say, okay, maybe no mask mandate or mask mandate for the flu as well?
I think if the science tells us to go there, we need to go there.
Okay, because it does. Yeah, it's 0.08 mortality rate for kids with COVID, but a lot of people don't realize the standard flu is very dangerous for kids. Kids more so, not as dangerous for adults, more dangerous for children.
Right.
And it's 0.85%, almost 1%.
Yeah.
Do you think we need to mask up in normal flu seasons?
Well, the thing is, we have such a small data set for COVID. It's only been with us within a year. We have 20, 30 years of flu data that would tell us that.
Right.
So I think we just need to study the data, continue to figure it out.
What do you hope to see, I guess, for the country right now, reopening? What would be your utopia here in the United States? Like if you could wave your hand, are people walking around with masks, vaccinated? Are we reopening the economy, doing it slowly?
Well, I think it's number one, continued vaccination, getting a higher rate of vaccination. I think, and then there's going to be, periods where potentially you do have to bring masks back, as we saw with the Delta variant.
Right.
But I think it's going to be touch as you go, in terms of we're not going to have one prescription for one region that works across the nation. It's going to be really localized based on your health authorities telling you, here's what the risk is. Let's make changes based on what's happening in our area.
I definitely agree with that. You can't do a one-size-fits-all with a country this big and this populated. So you need to take every arrow you have kind of in your quiver to keep everyone safe. But hey, you're on the right track. You got the little ones homeschooled, and good for you. They're adorable too.
You slip by the dirty comedian thing, but honestly, you call yourself a comedian, but you don't do it that much. Like I go fishing a couple times a year, but I don't introduce myself on TV as a fisherman.
Wow. Well, this got really personal for a concept about abstinence. I've got a beard gut.
But I have to say, my last 3 relationships, which each lasted between 2 to 5 years, we slept with each other almost immediately. And it's because I knew that I wanted to be with them,
Except that
why'd you kill them?
Except at the 5-year mark.
Yeah, but so what? At least I figured it out and I didn't get married and spend my life with somebody that I hate.
But statistically,
And I had a great
unrealistic. Statistically, that's wrong. I mean, if you want to disregard stats and facts,
statistically, what's wrong?
Statistically, 87% of people who wait until they're married are happier, and 52% aren't. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore, and in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted.
Completely permitted. Completely permitted.